case, standing out takes more than just expertise. It takes strategy. Joining us now is Melanie Borden, founder of the Borden Group, who's helping professionals turn what they know into real visibility and influence. Melanie, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I love these full circle segments because you and I went to lunch in Livingston over COVID. My daughter Liana was just born, and we were talking about what's next. We were both at a crossroads. COVID obviously disrupted a lot personally and professionally, and you were thinking about taking that leap into entrepreneurship, and you were scared. And you were trying to figure out how to make it work with 2 daughters, a single mom, and look at you.
It's crazy. It all works out. No matter what happens, it always works out.
And I was shocked to hear that you were scared because you made such headwaves in a crazy male-dominated industry, which was the automotive industry. That's what brought us together, Maserati of Morris County, way back in 2019. And not a lot of women can make it as high as you did, but you did.
It was fun. I mean, it was definitely something that I would sit back and think when I was younger, like I didn't want to grow up and be in the car business, but I ended up being there. And during that time of my life, I didn't know why I was there, but now I know that I was there to lead me to where I am today, which is sitting with you.
Exactly. I remember seeing your LinkedIn explode.
Yeah.
Because why do you think that happened? What was your messaging that resonated with so many people?
I think part of it was being in the right place at the right time, number one. I think that it was really undiscovered platform to utilize at the time as a place where you can present yourself in a social way, because a lot of people were thinking about LinkedIn as a boardroom, right? And that you were going to have more of a corporate experience, but I started using it the way that people use Instagram. Not necessarily with posting anything provocative, but provocative in a sense where I was documenting what was happening in my career. I was talking about the things that were freaking me out. I was talking about my day-to-day working in marketing. I was talking about the things that I really wanted to say online and create a footprint. A lot of it was, the expression is flying the plane, building it at the same time. I was doing that. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's what I was doing. I was building the plane and flying it at the same time. I think that people just are interested in real. People are interested in authentic. People are interested in something that's not polished, not put together. And although I was working in marketing and I was helping others do this, I wasn't really doing it for myself. And so I think people really resonated with the fact that I was being real. I was talking about things that were really happening. And I was also helping, and I was offering something to help people. And as a natural thing, algorithms present you in a way to other people, and people started following me, and the rest is kind of history from there.
Is a lot of this outlined in your book?
Yes. So theater of the mind is actually something that I learned while working in the car business. So the term theater of the mind comes from radio in the 1930s, 1940s. And the concept is that people had to think and they had to utilize their minds while they were sitting and listening to a Western or to a drama, because, you can call it the earliest podcast, because they didn't have the imagery, they didn't have something to look at, they didn't have something to engage with other than each other and listening. What's interesting about the title is that the work that I do now and the people that I'm working with, a lot of times I'm working with executives, C-suites, those who are founders, really anyone in a leadership role or someone who wants to become more of a present leader. They're thinking about all these different things about who they are, and they're really inside their own heads. And so it's really a play on, just the distorted view that we view of ourselves. And most of the time, the way that we view ourselves is totally different than how other people view us.
Really?
Yes.
So what is that difference?
I mean, a lot of times we might be attached to something or ourselves from a previous time. And the way that I describe it is this. We were born with a 19 in our birth year, right? So inherently, although you work in media now, you weren't born into media, right? You weren't brought up polished in a specific way where you had to know how to interact, how to act a certain way, how to be a certain way, how to use technology in a certain way, because it didn't exist then. And so a lot of times we view ourselves in a different way versus the people who are born after the year 2000, where it's easy for them to interact on social. It's easy for them to use all these platforms, all these tools. And I do believe, based on everyone who I work with who's generally over 40, is that they view themselves as one way, and then when you put yourself out there a certain way, you second guess yourself. You have imposter syndrome. You question if you're saying the right thing, if you're doing the right thing, if you're crafting the right message, if you're not crafting the right message, if you're saying the thing that's going to upset someone, if it's not going to upset someone. So there's this whole loop that you get inside your head when you start putting yourself out there. And these are the things that I've experienced, and I kind of just push through it and do it anyway. But there's a lot of people that actually, it stops them in their career. It stops them from getting to their next level. It stops them from being who they need to be to get to where they want to be, because they're afraid of how it might look or how it might appear.
What has some of the feedback been since the book has come out? Have people flipped on that mindset?
The feedback from the book itself has been, I'm so glad you went first. And because I talk about in the book, especially in the introduction, my experience with imposter syndrome and how that affected me while I was writing the book. Because who am I to write a book?
Oh,
you know?
Please, you're fabulous.
And I went through this experience. And when you're writing a book, I mean, you wrote 10 years later. Mm-hmm. So for you, you had this experience of writing a book. And a lot of people don't realize what it takes to write a book and what goes into the process. And that's with building anything. If you're building your online presence, if you're building a book, if you're building anything that you want to build, there's so much that you can possibly do and create that a lot of times we just question ourselves. And imposter syndrome was something I didn't even think was real. I didn't think it existed. I didn't think it was something that would affect me. Yeah. And it did. And I documented it in the book because I wanted to be the one to go first. I wanted to lead by example. I wanted to show others that you can feel this way and you can also do it too.
You say the word document, but one of your mantras is document, don't create. What does that mean?
So I think a lot of times people are very spun up in getting caught in this cluster of content. It's a reframe to make it easier for you to put yourself out there, to get yourself to where you want to be next. And to me, if I have to think about, or my clients are thinking about, oh wow, we have to put together 30 days of content, we need images, we need videos, we need posts, we need all these things, we need to leverage AI. It's very overwhelming. And to me, it's an easier way, it's a simpler way to reframe the process when you say, I'm just documenting what I'm doing. And it's an easier way to put yourself out there versus having to look at it from the lens of, I have to create this. And then you're also putting yourself in the category of, am I an influencer? Or am I a creator? But I'm just a founder, or I'm just an entrepreneur, and I just am trying to get myself to X, Y, and Z goal. So that's why I really like to say, to document versus creating.
It's a mindset switch, which I think is very effective because the burnout is real. I mean, I'm in the content creation business and I get burnt out sometimes. I have stuff in the queue for my own social media and then I forget and then it's past its expiration date and then it's like, oh man, what a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people also, there's a lot of pressure for perfection. And, I think Instagram or those platforms really do this to a lot of us where there's a lot of self-comparison. And there's a lot of comparison with businesses. I was on a call earlier with a group of women who were saying, well, I haven't written a book yet, or I haven't done any TV or media yet, or I haven't done, and there's just a lot of comparison in general where you don't have to compare from where you are to where you're going to be. And a lot of people are not okay with being a beginner and starting from somewhere because every single person, you started somewhere, I started somewhere. And I think the beginning parts are the hardest because it's the part that tests you. It's a lot. It can be overwhelming. And so I think when you can flip the switch to thinking about serving others and doing that by documenting, it really changes the way that you can approach things. But I get burnt out. Everyone gets burnt out. I mean, and especially with using AI too. When you're using AI, it also contributes to that content fatigue and all of that.
You know what I'm fatigued with when you talk about AI? Everyone's posts are sounding the same now. With the M dashes, it's that same long-winded stream of consciousness like ChatGPT is famous for, and everyone's just like copying and pasting.
Yeah.
And no one's putting their voice and their spin on what chat should be just aiding you with.
Right, exactly. It should be used as a thought partner or an ideation partner, not as a content creator. It's a great editor. It's great to run feedback off of. But I think what happens is that there's a lot of people who feel that they waited too long and they feel that they missed the boat on creating. They don't know where to start and they might not work in marketing or media, and they think, okay, I'm just gonna go into ChatGPT, I'm gonna prompt it, I'm gonna just run with that, and I'm gonna do it at volume and at scale. But the problem is with doing that is, number one, they sound like everybody else. You know, they've got this word salad / AI slop that everyone's talking about. And the way that the algorithms actually work now in the machines is they're looking for content essentially that's going to differentiate you. And when you're using AI for everything, it just blends you in. You just become like everybody else. That's why a lot of times when you're leading with stories and you're telling from a place of helping the person who's on the other side, it really differentiates someone in a crowded space in the market.
What types of New Jersey businesses are you helping?
So I would say from the business perspective, I work with a lot of founders of startups, also in tech, as well as in the legal space. I've worked with coaches, I work with speakers. The spectrum is pretty vast in terms of the industry that I'm working in. I will say though that more so in that tech and the AI space do come to me, probably because a lot of what I do is very intentional with how I show up to those particular audiences. But it's something where anyone in any industry can do this. It's just a matter of knowing exactly what you want to accomplish, what your end game is, having a strategy, and then executing on it, which is really the key to all of it.
Absolutely. Where can people find out more about you and to get a copy of your book?
Sure, so you can find my book on Amazon. You can also find it anywhere books are sold online. Amazon's probably the fastest and the easiest, and it comes in 3 formats, in paperback, hardcover, and also Kindle. And you can find me on LinkedIn, Melanie Borden, and my handle on Instagram is human2brand, and my website is human2brand.com.
Amazing. Melanie, congratulations on everything. I cannot wait to dive into the book, and thank you for being a great friend and supporter always.
Of course.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.